our coverage of ComicCon 2017. We're here in San Diego. I'm Julia Cunningham, and James and Dule have joined me from Psych, the movie.
Splat.
Yeah, Fwamp.
Thwack. I also like the soft T in Santiago.
Santiago.
I appreciated that.
Yeah, okay. I'm like hitting it on spot.
Yeah.
Guys, obviously it's very exciting. You guys are fresh from your panel where you guys got to just see a huge audience of Psychos.
Yeah.
You got to unveil the first 8 minutes of the movie. How was the response in the room?
They loved it.
You could hear crickets farting in China. Yeah.
Yeah, it was that.
It was unfortunate. It was
That was
not the response we
disastrous.
were looking for.
Yeah.
No, our fans never.
No,
loved it.
they're amazing.
That's why they're psychos.
Yeah, but it must be different where you get to actually come back to Comic-Con and have 3 years where like an additional fan base may have grown from just
You're
watching
talking
on
about
Hulu,
the babies.
whatever. Oh,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the Psycho babies,
The
that
babies
have been
are there.
born since
Yes.
then. But I think just in general, getting to come back to Comic-Con, go to the panel, and be in light and actually see faces of your fans and watch them respond to something that you guys are still haven't completely unveiled. It's got to be like rewarding coming back.
It's definitely rewarding and a little surreal because
Yeah.
3 years ago the show was finished.
Right.
Even though it was talked about the story is going to continue, you still never really
Like
know.
how, when, what is that actually
Exactly.
going to mean? What is that going to be?
But it also feels, even being inside the room, even though we've taken this time off, it seems like it was just yesterday that we were inside Hall H with the Psychos.
Right.
Unveiling season 7, unveiling season 6.
You dropped a specific hall.
I did. Come on, man.
You're like, I know the hall rooms.
Yeah.
You know the size when Psycho would, or Psych would move from room to room, and you're like,
see
oh,
what
we're
I'm
getting to
saying?
the. I imagine that you guys, keeping in touch. You co-wrote the movie that's coming in December.
I did.
But I imagine, you also probably had a lot to just invest in the story, right? I mean, James, who sort of did you sort of pull into the circle of, hey guys, we are starting to work on it? What process would you talk to people, fellow castmates, and say, where do you think your character ended up? Did that happen, or were you guys sort of closed off?
No,
We're in charge.
Steve and I are sort of like dictators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is what you'll do, and you'll like it.
Yeah.
Or
You
guess
have no
what?
choice.
There's the door.
Yeah.
And we'll say it just
Pow,
we'll say it
bash.
just like that, and we don't like break it with a smile at the end. We don't
Right.
undercut it with a joke. It's like you'll do this, or there's the door.
Or it's
That's
like,
how it's always
but
been.
the
Or
voice
write
does
them
drop.
out.
It does drop an octave though. It goes,
Yeah.
you'll do this.
Or there's the door.
You see what I'm saying?
yeah.
So that lets you know that they're
It's like
serious.
a power move.
Yeah, and there was like one time where Roday really tried to step outside of that and said, "Hey man, I'm trying something new.
Yeah.
Where do you feel like your character will go?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Come on, man.
That's not
Don't
how we
waste
do
my
it.
time.
That's not how we do
Yeah.
it.
You go write it. I will do it."
Yeah. No, really, honestly, Steve was sort of like this monolithic sort of home base for the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was sort of a chicken hawk, and everybody else were sort of like wounded, sort of disenfranchised sheep-like creatures.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel
And
you.
every once in a while, I would give them like a little bit of a heads up of like, I think this is what's happening, but I don't know for sure.
Or like misdirects.
Because I'm just the
Like you've been killed
chicken
off.
hawk. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Steve knew where he wanted to go from the
Right,
time
I'm
we
sure
from the
he's-
time we finished season 8.
Right.
I'm sure he was already thinking about what
He's
was
got the
coming
next 3 in his head.
I
too.
guarantee you he
Like,
does.
He's
No,
ready.
I've seen articles where he said like he has a long thought process of like where this would go forever. And are you guys locked in where you're saying like you're to the point where you are so trusting that it's like you tell me the day and we will show up?
He's done pretty well by us over the years.
Like, did you even know about it, or was it just like
I
show
knew-
up, Dule?
We knew that there was an appetite for it, and that they were interested in doing something perhaps for the holidays.
Okay.
And that was really the only marching orders we had. Like, to the credit of USA and Universal, that's like they just sort of trust us that we know how to do Psych. So it was like, you guys want to do this? And we were like, yeah, I think it actually feels kind of right. The timing is right. And they were like, great.
Yeah.
Give us something we
Go
can
ahead
air.
and do it.
Give us
Right,
something
we can do
air
it.
around Christmas.
Did you look at some of the other sort of TV shows that have gone to movies? Like I was a huge Veronica Mars fan. I watched that. I was like so happy with the movie that came out because it felt like, just like a real extension of the show. Do you feel that pressure as much as you're, we're in it, we know what we love, but returning and doing something that's different than the show, like making it a movie, making a real thought out product in this 2-hour span?
Well, we had a pretty good dry run at it when we did the musical, because that was also sort of a standalone
Right,
2-hour
like
special.
Bottle, yeah.
But I think you made an interesting point, because Psych was kind of went all over the place. It was a little bit of a kitchen sink show, and there was some stuff that I think fans responded to more than other stuff. And another way of sort of framing is that, hey, some of the stuff we did was for us, And when you're coming back after 4 years, I think we all sort of recognize it was more important to do the stuff that was for them. It's a great way to bring it back, sort of tap into like the elements that, you know, brought us all of those crazy psychos to begin with, and kind of lean into sort of the more classic elements of, I would say, you know,
What the show is.
early
But also
shows.
to evolve though too, because it's not just a matter of coming and doing 2 episodes of Psych and pushing them together. It really is picking it up 3.5 years later, and where have these people gone? What are they doing now? They're not doing the same thing, the same exact thing that they were doing in Santa Barbara, but there's definitely a lot of similar through line.
Right.
What are
And
the new drugs that the kids are doing?
Yeah, whatever, Bam, thwack, whatever it's called
you know
now.
what I mean? Yeah.
Splat.
Splat.
You know what I mean? Bloop.
Everybody.
All that,
something
all
like
that.
that.
Foom.
Yeah, all
Everybody,
having.
everybody's doing bloop.
Yeah.
But I did say that it does take place where it left off in San Francisco.
Yep.
So it does do the whole change. Yep. And did you sort of, when you sat down and actually like go script by script, were there moments where you thought, oh, we're trying too hard to cram in things that we just love because the excitement of coming back? Because there's a lot of guest stars that are going to be coming through it where you're thinking, well, we want to make sure we write a line for so-and-so, but maybe that'll have to be the next movie. How do you sort of even that out?
There was stuff that I think we decided would have to wait for.
Would have to wait for the next stuff.
Yeah, I think most importantly, it was like, let's tell a strong story, let's catch people up, let's make sure that it's funny.
Right, yeah.
That was sort of, those are the 3 most important things. And then if things fit, great. If they didn't, that's a great idea that we can use down the road.
Yeah. And we had...
And then you have to remember that you're on basic cable, so
right.
maybe you can go to Paris on this trip.
This
Because
was specifically.
there is a budget. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. San Francisco will do. It's the Paris of the
Canada.
Northeast.
Northwest.
The Northwest, yes.
Yeah, the
Paris of
Northwest area.
British Columbia.
I think
Yes.
type situation. We did have Zachary Levi pass through our area yesterday, where he was here for something else. Actually,
Zach is good for that. He always passes.
Yeah,
he
through
was
areas, you know what I mean?
literally passing through.
He's an area passer.
He's a ComicCon pro, but
Yes.
he was here for something else, and he
Sure,
brought
he was
up
very quiet, tiptoeing around.
tiptoed in. Just like appeared up out of nowhere, but he brought up how he's so amped that people are going to get to see, you know, a portion of Psych the movie, and you guys bring him in. He is undisclosed. He's the villain of this project, which is very exciting. And so that was something great. He was supposed to originally guest star at some point, never could quite line up the schedules. Was this one of those? Okay, we can't wait for future movies. We've got to squeeze Zachary Levi in for this one.
Well, he kept, like, he was cast to be like Thor's personal bather, I think. It was his job to bathe Thor.
Right,
in the
yeah, or
movies.
the hammer or something.
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
He had to wash the hammer. No, he was
He's
the
the
hammer
hammer
washer. And that's what prevented him, if memory serves, from being.
And who watches Thor?
I don't know anyone.
It's like I don't
don't even know which one Thor is.
I think it's made money.
To be honest.
I mean, I have to call myself out though because I do watch all the whole Marvel universe.
Oh, okay.
So all those movies I do watch. So
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Me.
The
That's
3 of
good.
us
Yes.
actually have.
Whatever.
Yeah, they're really good actually.
Anyway, he was busy
Thor
washing. He
Ragnarok.
was busy washing hammers when we made
The hammer washer.
the
Right.
musical.
Yes.
But since then, like it's been, there's been an effort of like, you know, this is just an obvious crossover that needs to happen. He's a friend of the show. The Chuck and Psych fan bases seem to be fairly congruous, and then this time it worked out. And I have to say, I think it worked out for the better.
Right,
Definitely.
I
absolutely.
think this is a better part for Zach, and I think he was able to sort of jump into it and do a bunch of fun things that he might not have been able to do if he would have sang and it would have sounded pretty.
That would have been great. Yeah. Yeah.
But he really knocked it out the park. I think the fans are going to really dig what Zach Levi brings.
What
to
he's
the
doing,
table.
yeah. As the Thin White Duke.
Even working with him and watching it, I was getting a kick out of seeing what he was doing.
He is my favorite singing hammer washer, by the way.
I mean,
You know what I mean?
I don't know
say
who his
that.
competition is,
just
but
wanna
I
say
doubt they're
that
good at it.
Out loud.
Especially
Yeah.
when he hums when he's washing the hammer.
Stop it.
Yeah. I mean, will you describe to me though, because I know Steve said, I had read like Steve, he always wanted David Bowie on the show or Zachary Levi, right? So
Yeah.
that's that sort of combination. And then I read, is this true that it was David Bowie's daughter was a huge fan of Psych?
If that is true, you just made my day.
Oh, okay. I
I've
thought I
never
read
actu-
that
I've
that
never
was
heard
sort
that.
of the, okay.
David.
Maybe false story.
David Lynch's
Don't look into
David
it.
Lynch's,
David Lynch's
daughter,
daughter.
directed some Psychs
Oh, okay.
Yes.
and is a fan and friend of the
Friend of
show.
Joe,
Yeah.
okay.
So there is a David's Daughter.
Yeah.
So maybe I was confusing legendary David's Daughters.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
fair.
Which is something that would happen on Psych, I
Yeah,
guess.
that is what
Actually, you know what?
That was very Sean-esque.
Yeah,
You would- you would
that's
heard it.
I'm gonna add that to the Wikipedia page of Psych. So look out for that.
You had heard it both ways.
Yeah, then that's
And-
perfect. So now, how are you guys? Because it's coming in December.
Yeah.
You now there's officially a trailer that you can watch. It's coming in December to USA. You guys had your panel today. Are there already discussions? You know, I'm sure USA is probably down to let you guys continue this. Have there been discussions already with Steve about, long term thinking about more movies to come, or even thinking of other platforms, or in terms of like, well, why not do another pop-up season of 8 episodes or something like that? And the way TV is now, you can kind of get away with anything a little bit.
Yeah, I think, like I said, Steve's ready to make at least 5 more.
At least 5, yeah.
And I think 4 of them are half written.
Wow. Okay.
He's ready.
In his mind.
It is money,
yes.
yeah, which is plenty, you know.
I personally kind of I like the construct of making a special and then going away for a while and then coming back and making a special, because I think it's challenging enough to make one great episode of anything,
Sure.
much less 8 or 16 or whatever a season is now. And the fans have been with us for so long, and I do think that there should be an expectation that, hey, if you're going to stick around with us for more than a decade, like, we're not going to give you any turkeys.
Yeah,
So I would
we're going to deliver.
every time out we're going to deliver. So I would rather do less of higher quality
Right.
than come back just because someone says, hey, if you guys want to make 8 episodes, you can. That sounds exciting, but what if only 4 of them were really good?
Yeah,
And that would be a bummer.
and that would bum
I
you
think
out.
as long as the fans have a desire for it.
Then
As long as they have a
keep-
desire for it, then I think we'll keep doing these standalone specials.
Awesome.
And shame on us if we can't come together and make one good piece of something for 80
Yeah.
minutes. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, how dare you?
Especially shame on Roday.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
You know what I
James,
mean?
that's all on you.
Yeah.
James and Dule, thank you guys so much for hanging out with
The
us.
pleasure
We
was
appreciate
ours.
it.
Thanks.
Very excited for you guys. And Psych the movie, December on USA. You can find out more information at EW.com and check out their panel as well. And the footage that is coming.
Kapow.
Thwack.
Thwack.
Bash.
Zonk.
Go to EW.com. This is our coverage of ComicCon 2017 here in San Diego. Thank you guys.
And Bloop.